Y'all. So I'm going to share some fun stuff about how I almost got scammed by a TV show. And the reason I'm sharing this is because of the fact that in the foster care community, a lot of us have become advocates and public speakers and authors that have self-published or who have been screwed by someone who has promised us a lot. And what tends to happen is that we get targeted, and sometimes we're able to see this before it happens, and sometimes we're not. And I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing friends of mine who are trying to share their story because they want to change the system, and then they're getting screwed. I'm tired. Like I am mentally and emotionally exhausted. Like I have considered giving up my social media and saying like, what the heck is the point anymore if all I'm going to do is be a target to people to take advantage of my story. And I'm going to say this up front. My network of people that I'm connected to doesn't show on my social media following amount. I have an okay sized following on social media. But my network, the people I'm connected to that I get to ask questions to when I have a gut feeling that something is off, there's no price tag you could put onto that. And luckily, I have these people in my corner to say, hey, there's this opportunity. What are your thoughts? And time again, my friends who work for different stations, that work for different TV anchor news places, whatever. I have a friend that works in the news. I have a friend who works with a big TV producing company. I have friends who work for Disney, Netflix, all of that stuff. I have friends everywhere. I have friends who have been in the TV industry for a very long time. I have friends who are producers, who are actors, actresses, singers. I have connections. But that doesn't always reflect on my social media. And I love it because it keeps me safe. But I am done and beyond frustrated with how many times we get targeted because we're trying to tell our story. And it happened to me again. And I almost thought this was legit until they gave me a price tag. So I'm going to walk you through what this looks like because I am tired of this community. I'm tired of our community. I'm tired of other people in and out of our community being taken advantage of and not knowing what to look at and spending money on something, thinking it's going to help get them somewhere, and it doesn't. In May, I was approached on Instagram for an opportunity to be on TV. And it kind of felt weird. And this person was like, oh, well, you don't fit the narrative for what we're looking for. And, we're looking for a foster youth who or a sibling who has taken in siblings and adopted them or raised them. And I got your name from so-and-so. And what then happened was, well, you don't qualify, because they were looking for a specific age between the person taking them in and the person and the kids. And so I was like, oh, well, there's this other person that I know, because they wanted a young kid. So I reached out to a friend and she goes, is it so-and-so? And I said, yes. And she's like, yeah, that person's already reached out to me and it's super shady. It's super like, they want like drama. So that happened. And I was like, okay, I'm on guard. I'm good. People would message me and be like, you need to grow your social media. You need to, your follow count isn't what your reach account is. I'm like, you don't know what my reach account is, y'all. Like, just because I don't have a lot of likes and comments on every single freaking post that I post does not mean I'm not reaching people. Okay. And that's what I get targeted on most of the time. I've been targeted on a few things with like books and stuff, but this is the first time that someone has come in shady. And I'm going to share the initial emails with you guys because it literally comes down to these people being like, okay, this, the way that it came out, I'm going to show you and you're going to be like, oh, okay, this didn't seem like a scam. This doesn't feel like it would have been the same thing as, hey, your social media is not growing, or hey, I have, I want to I saw your story and I wanted to connect with you because I have an opportunity for you for your book or something like that. That's usually how it starts off. And you're just like, oh, like, yeah, can I get more information? And they're like, yeah, go ahead and, send me your email and I'll send you the information. And it's like, okay. And the cost is like, they're very upfront, very quick. Usually most of the time you can get them to say like, if you ask like, hey, is there a cost? They're going to be like, yeah, it is. The difference though is I know that now because I have, in May, I was reaching out to a few people about like the books and stuff like that. And a friend was like, girl, like, I don't want to save you time and energy because they reached out to my friends as well at different times because I have friends who are speakers and authors. And they're just like, yeah, I that same person did. I checked it out. Like, you do you, check it out as well. That way, but this is what they had told me. And again, there's a difference between traditional publishing and the traditional TV, and then the stuff that we're dealing with currently, where it's like you pay to get your, like, for us to do it for you, you pay to get on our network and things like that. So now this happened. And the initial email, and I'm going to show you things as we go because you're going to be like, dude, what the heck. So I hope you can see this. like saying it needs screen access. Okay, I'm just going to upload this stuff. I'm going to read it and I'll upload it and I'll put the pictures where you guys can see it on the video. So the person reaches out by email and goes, hi, Dr. Denisha. My name is blank. I'm the associate producer of a national TV series, blank, airing on the Travel Channel, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Google TV. We're planning our upcoming season and are including a special edition series featuring speakers, authors, and influencers, voices that inspire. I would love to speak with you when you have a few minutes to discuss possible collaborations. For ease of scheduling, feel free to select a day and time on my calendar that works for you, blah, 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 with gratitude. And they put their name. So, so I'm like, you know what? This sounds not fishy. And I'm like, okay, so I'll reach out. So I put my name down. The person called me and was like, your name came out and, your name came across my desk. Someone gave it to me. They're like, you have to hear her story. You have to hear what she's gone through and overcome, and look at her now. She has her book. She has, and like details about me. So this person did some research, and I was like, oh, who was it? And they were like, well, I don't want to give it away. Like I'm not sure if they had a chance to reach out to you yet, but also I was like, well, who is it? And the person denied a second time. And that's when I should have known the first red flag. If someone's not willing to tell you who recommended you to somebody, it usually is that they found you on social media. That's just like the blank promise. So we're talking, and so this person's telling me about the show. She's like, oh, this is what it looks like. This is how it goes. This is what it's like, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what we've been looking for, and this is what's new, is that we're looking for someone to come in and like dine with the staff, like not the staff, the cast, and to tell their story and like help spark change. And because we know you're in the foster care community, and like because of your story, like I think that would be really cool for our audience and for the cast to be able to get involved. And oh my gosh, we're in California and that's so cool. We'll have you do the California location, because typically, the way we do it is that if someone wants to promote products, they have to pay to do that so that we can get like all the products covered and things like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can't afford something like that. And I could hear the tone in her voice shift. And she's like, oh, well, you wouldn't have to, because technically, well, you would be the speaker coming in. So like, I'll have to talk to the producers. I'm pretty sure like we can work something out to where that's not, yeah, because, being a speaker is different. I was like, I don't have a physical product, so it doesn't make sense to go and promote my product on the show. But I have me, and like, I think my story would matter. And she's like, no, yeah, that's why we reached out, because like, even though there's people, she's like, I just want you to be aware that the whole show won't be about your story. It'll be like, we're going to put you in with the dinner, so that way you can share with the cast what it would be. And so I'm like, okay. So then I she's like, let's, put us down on Thursday at 10 o'clock. I'm going to get the details for you. Because yeah, it's different. And like, because you're going to be our guest, like, and then she like rattled off like famous people that, or billionaires that they have had on the show, and like, people that they know, and like how it's helped people in their success. And like, she said this is where I get stuck. And this is where every person who is trying to share their story gets stuck. She said, well, we have the platform and you have the story, and we know you don't have the platform. So that's why we're so passionate about getting this piece on our show, because it gives more opportunity for people to share their stories. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't have a platform like a TV show. I have a very small platform on social media. And, I've grown my speaking events. I've sold my own book. I've self-published my own book. I have done everything on my own. And I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to grow my social media. I'm tired of trying to get every speaking event possible and going out there and all the time being like, I have to go get this. Like, not a lot of people, like, until this, I've been doing this for 3 years. This last May was the first May that people reached out to me and asked me. I'm getting more invitations now than ever. But for the first 3 years, I had to do it on my own. I had to go ask people. And I felt like a fraud for so long. Like, you guys, like, I felt like a fraud, because it's like, well, I'm not getting these opportunities naturally, like all of the other people are telling me that I should. I didn't, get a traditional publishing book. I didn't get anyone. Like, I keep getting denied by literary agents. I'm self-published twice now because that's the only thing I can do. And so I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. And so when she said this, then she followed it up with, if we can give you the platform, you could get the exposure. And I'm like, and then in my head, I'm like, I wouldn't have to try so hard. And she's like, let me see what I can do. So then our time on Thursday came and went. And I reached out and I just said, like, hey, I wasn't sure, was I supposed to call you? And then the person called me back and was like, oh, I had computer issues and da-da-da-da. I think at this point, this person forgot that I was the person who said I couldn't afford it. Like, I'm going to be honest. But then she's like, oh my God, yeah, like, I remember your story. Your story is so good. Oh, I know someone else who dealt with stuff like you. And I want to, I told her about you, and she's so excited to have you on the show. And, she's like, yeah, more people like me need to be represented. And then she said the next thing that hit my desire is, she just said, like, there are times that you have to pay to get into the rooms of people who are billionaires and or people who have the ability to put you in better rooms. And that's where we can come in, is we have those rooms, but sometimes you have to pay for it. And here's the thing, is that this week alone, 3 different times this week and last week, I heard entrepreneurs say, like, you have to pay to get into rooms for people to be able to see you, to help grow your business, to learn, to be, to do that. So sometimes you have to pay money to get into these rooms. So I was like, she used that lingo. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like, and then she goes, oh, this is how TV works. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how TV works. I've never been on a TV show before. So I really don't know how this works. And she's like, I just love your story. I think your story is so resilient, and I'm just so proud of you. And I think that, this could lead to other things. Like, you're going to see people are just going to, like, they're going to want to help fund things for you and book deals for you and all of this stuff. And you're just going to watch it, and it's going to open the floodgates for you. And I was like, wow, like, finally. And I brought up the fee again to her, and I just said, hey, like, I really, yeah, the $7,500, that's a lot. I mean, and she's like, well, can you do something in that ballpark? And I was like, probably, but if we keep it in, this is where it gets shady. I said, not really, but she goes, I have an idea. Maybe, we're going to have something in your state in California. So let me talk to them about putting you on that season. That'll be season 3. So it'll be the next season. So, it'll be a little bit, but we'll get you on there. So it's significantly cheaper for you. So then you're not having to take care of travel, things like that. You'll just show up to where we're going to have you. And then, because you're our speaker, I'm going to talk to them to see about what we can do to get you in and not have to worry about the price. So then she sends me a follow-up email, and this is what it says. I enjoyed our conversation. I'm amazed by your incredible story. It's inspiring now how you've been able to impact so many lives. I hope we can be a platform to help you share your story even further. And then she goes into costs with a deck where, again, it just outlines it. And it's again for companies with products, not for someone like me who does speaking events. And we had already had the conversation where she said like she was going to ask questions to see what could happen. And, it says it's invitation only. It airs in the USA nationally on the Travel Channel to 80 plus million Nelson rated households. Episodes also air on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Google. Each episode will be permanently on their app. Each episode will be permanently on their website. Marketing includes extensive emails, national, regional, and local area press release coverages that'll feature your company, and it often leads to a variety of media interviews and features for the show. Social media covers are highlights that specify your company, and there's approximately over 250,000 people with all the collective members of the cast that follow them. So that's an extra 250,000 accounts that you get to reach. And I'm like, okay. And I talked to my husband, and, he's like, well, it makes sense. Like that sometimes you're going to have to do that. And we looked some stuff up, and we're like, oh, this is promising. Like it actually is a show. Their videos are a little bit weird and and something didn't, it was kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens, what comes of it. And, the initial promise was all this stuff. Then, when it came to they like the weekend came and went, and I was kind of like, whatever, no big deal. And I get a text from them, and now it's not just her. The producer is on the text, and is like, hey, just wanted to let you know, the producer, we're brainstorming some ideas, and we have some really cool ideas to help get you out here. We don't want to wait till season 3. We want to actually get you out here now. And I get on the phone with them, and literally they're just like, your story needs to be told now. We shouldn't wait for it. Blah, 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 blah. And like, when they told me your story, I'm the producer. I just had to make the decision to get you on, and the executive producers are on board as well, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but you guys said that there was a cost. And, at first they were like, we have like 5 different events that we are going to bring you to that we're wrapping up for this season. And like, we can make it happen. And I'm like, okay, well, one of those involves a passport. I can't get there. I don't have a passport. Oh, well, that's a bummer. There's the next one. That's okay. No worries. And I'm like, oh, okay. But they mentioned price last week, and then I don't know. And I thought we agreed on $7,500. I was like, well, no, yeah. No, I mean, that's a lot of money. I thought, we were going to talk through. And it's like, well, you're really paying for, the price to be on and to be in these rooms with people who are going to really believe in your story. And I'm telling you right now, with who we have going to the place that we think that you should go to, they could put you on the map and da 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 da. And so they're starting again to speak into the you don't have a reach by yourself conversation. So I had a gut feeling. This was like 2 nights ago. Maybe this was last night. I don't know. It was Thursday or Friday. It was this week. And something didn't feel right. And like, I was talking to my husband. I'm like, I know we can make it work. And I was like, kind of just seeing. I was like, oh, would you do payment plan? And they're like, yeah, we'll do a payment plan. I was like, okay, I would like to see what that would look like. Okay, yeah, we'll get that over to you. And they sent the agreement. Well, here was the thing. They were like, well, we can't send the agreement we'll send you the agreement for the TV show, and then we're going to send you a payment plan that's different. So that way you have both and it's outlined and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, let's see if this is legit. Like if they have a contract. And I had already texted some friends and I was like, hey, something doesn't feel right. And so I reached out to 5 different people who I know. And all 5 of them were like, did you say if a TV show is making you pay? And several of these people work in the TV industry where they are or have worked as casting agents for TV shows. So one of my friends was digging in with me and was like, oh my God, like the way that they're doing this is really like, they're basically making a promise that you're going to be on the TV. He's like, I don't know how they're getting on the TV because, I'm not seeing them anywhere on the schedule for this particular station or any like on Amazon Prime, on Google TV, on Apple TV. We're not seeing anything. And he's like, the only thing I can think of is that it's like a Saturday morning show. And those are typically like, if they're saying it's 30 minutes, he's like, there's no TV show on the network that's 30 minutes like that. Like if it's something that they've picked up, it's usually like longer than that. It's usually an hour, and then it's always on there and you can always see it. And then the second friend I reached out to was like, look, like, just here's some things to look up for you. And I was like, perfect. It's like, here's their website. Here, their website isn't even saying that they're on these channels anymore. They're saying that it's over here housed on their own website and that it's launching in 2024. And, it hasn't launched yet and it's September. So they send this production agreement and then say like, oh, we put the payment plan with the production agreement. It's a really simple, straightforward plan. And it's literally it's about a page and a half. Again, invitation only, 30-minute episode. You're paying for 2 minutes and you're going to agree as soon as you sign this. This is what got me. It says, by right here, it's at the end. And it says, this project is scheduled upon execution of this agreement. But then it says that I commit to participate in the project described above and does further agree to pay the $7,500 pre-production scheduling fee with an approved payment plan by the executive team. The $3,000 is due at signing of agreement. Not even, they were going to check for me. They said, oh, we're going to check. And I said, please let me know what it would look like first before I agree. So if I want to now rush into this to get to where I need to do this in November, and that way they can book it. Like they said, you got to hurry, you got to book the flight, blah, blah, blah. It was like, okay, something's shady here. Something is not correct here. And then it's like, okay, you're not on where you say that you're on. You're not on this show. Like you're not on the network. And then I finally was able to find on the network the scheduling stuff. And I did find that they were on Saturday mornings at 8:30. And so I asked them a question. I asked them when they aired. And I literally was just like, I'm going to show you the first email, and then I'm going to show you the second time I had to ask. So the first one I said, what day and time does the show air on the Travel channel? I was trying to stream the show on Google TV and Amazon, but could not find it. What happens if my portion of the interview does not get selected during post-production? And the answer back, they said, well, season 1 recently aired. We're in the process of editing and filming season 2, of which you'll be a part of. Then they said, oh, our production team recently received final approval from the streaming platforms. So all of the stuff that they've been telling me before was, oh, we're already on these things for season 1. Not, we're waiting to get on it. And that was not an honest conversation up front. But then it's like, oh, well, your price guarantees you to get in. But literally, then this other person says like, oh, if you have any other questions, blah, 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 like, let me know. But once we get the schedule locked in, we'll give you specific dates and book your flights. Right now, please block out any time. So again, she didn't answer my question. And so I was like, what day and time did the show air? And she's like, oh, the show aired Saturdays at 8:30. But then she goes into this long-winded email about how like I'm a walking testament of this, my episode, like, I won these awards and I met them and look how invested I am. And, here's the conversation. I believe in this show so much, but this is what this is what got me. Is she said, it's in the first one, she's like, oh, I met one particular person from the cast. When I complimented her on her dress, the conversation went both beyond our conversation. Basically, they got to like, I'm on the show now. I invested like you are in the production fees, and I actually paid my own airfare to film in the state that she went to. And we offered to pay for you to go to this state for your segment as a courtesy to you. Now, let me tell you, as someone who has experienced significant manipulation in my life, this right here is, but look how invested I am. If I didn't believe in this show, I wouldn't be talking to you. That's what this whole email is saying. And then it's like, it's a courtesy to you that we're going to pay for your flights. When this whole conversation had started, because they originally got my name and my information and emailed me, not Instagrammed, Facebook messaged me, or LinkedIn messaged me, like literally emailed me and said, we want you to come and be our speaker for this episode, having dinner with the cast. Then turn to, we're doing you a courtesy by having you pay us $7,500, but don't worry, we'll take care of your flights and dinner and accommodation for travel and things like that, which is fine. But I would have to go by myself. Didn't offer to bring anybody with me. Nothing like that. But then at the bottom, it's, you're in good hands. Please reach out if you have any further questions. And I did ask another follow-up question and I didn't get an answer. So I think that they, like, either one, they're just busy or not, whatever. But the other weird thing about all of this, and this is what one of my friends pointed out, once they started, actually both friends, 2 of the 5 people I reached out to said, like, hey, they all have other jobs besides this show, which tells me they don't do this full time, which tells me that that's why they have to ask you for money. But to try to like manipulate me on my story, first off, assuming that I don't have anybody to ask questions to with something like this, and then to the agreement being the fact that it was only a page and a half is really horrible too. But then the empty promises was like, you're going to get access to, 250,000 people from their following, 800 million or whatever it is, 80 million for the TV shows or whatever it is. And it's like, y'all, like, your social media following is nothing to me because of the fact that my social media accounts reach 700,000 people in a given month, if not more. My account has reached, when my videos have gone viral, millions of people as well. If my social media reaches more people than your TV show does, that's different. But even on the thing with the agreement is that it literally says this number that I'm gonna have to pause. Sorry, Harper was crying. Had to take a break. So they put down like 364 Nelson rating, and my friend who works at a network was like, do you know what that means? Like, that basically is a wash of a show. Like, most networks don't consider like a series to be good unless there's a million. And I was like, but y'all, like, my Instagram account and Facebook account brings in way more views than that because I consistently post. Like, I'm tired. This year alone, I have been told I'm washed up by people who are in the foster care community because I'm too old and that they want younger voices because they're not as expensive. I had someone try to steal my content from me. Like, literally, like, they put me in a group with people and like tried to take parts of my story and put them in their blog, put them in to promote themselves of like being this person who was like the ultimate person to go to and get paid tons of money to do speaking events, and then try to take my idea about what I built for Go Without an Agent. Like, they tried to promote this to a group of people and say like it's a collective thing, we're all going to be in it together and giving advice. And I'm like, I already built this. Like, you called me and talked to me and said that was such a great thing, and then promised to like help walk me through like how to get grants and stuff like that. And then over and over and over again, like basically being told by people that my social media is not good enough, that my reach isn't good enough, that, you know, I'm not good enough because I self-published. I'm not good enough because I don't have an agent. Like, I've literally sat in rooms where people were like, Denisha, you have a bigger social media following than I do. How do I have an agent and you don't? And I have literally said, nobody has asked me. I get spams all the time. So when someone comes in to play with my emotions and be like, we have the reach for you, and I really did think that this was a channel, this was a real TV show, like, I'm like, oh my God, my big break. Like, oh my God, finally, all this sharing, all this working hard. Someone put my name in the hat for me, and then it's here to give us $75,000, $7,500. It feels, can we pause there for a second? To me, you asking me for $7,500 feels like $75,000. I have been speaking events. I have never been asked to pay to be in a speaking event outside of a conference. But as an entrepreneur who has heard over and over and over again that sometimes you have to pay to be in rooms with people who would invest in you, it's not abnormal for someone to do that. But to play on my story and say you want to bring me in as the motivational speaker for this group, and then to bait and switch me to there's this fee you would have to pay, but don't worry, we're helping you with flight costs. Like, this group of people who are doing this doesn't realize the network of people I have to be able to tap into to ask questions. So I would have done it, but the gut feeling was, well, and I sat down with my husband and I was like, well, so-and-so said they have never been asked to pay to be on TV. They've been asked to be on TV. No fees. My other friend was like, hey, if they ask you to get on Zoom, don't share your screen with them. They'll wipe you out. Like, that's what's been happening. It's a big thing that's been going around all summer, where, they get you on a Zoom session and they're like, oh, share your screen, will help you troubleshoot something. And then they have taken like people who have huge followings on social media, they like hack their account and steal their account that they've worked so hard to build, which is why I'm like, look, guys, don't put your heaven and earth on your social media where it's like, I'm putting all my blood, sweat, and tears in this. Like, it could go out like that. So why am I sharing this is that I have seen it time and time again. What they do is then they start to go through my follow list and they start to reach out to people and they start to try to get them, because no one will share this. No one will speak out. The reason I didn't share the name of the group or the person is because I don't want a defamation lawsuit. My guess is what they're doing is they're either one, paying for time, or they were picked up for a season and then they lost the contract. They didn't get picked up for a second season, and that's why they're doing this on their own, or they're paying for ad space. They're an infomercial ad space. I don't know the answer to that. I can't say for certain, but what I can say is to say, hey, you want to be on TV? We love your story so much. You would inspire us. And then to turn around and say, give me money. Guys, it's not even that. It literally ranges from $75,000 to $40,000. And if you want more time on air, you have to pay a lot more. So $7,500 was going to cover 2 minutes of my story on TV at 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday. If they're being completely transparent and honest, because there is so much in the contract. I showed several of the people that I know. I said, hey, look at this contract agreement thing. And they're like, there are so many loopholes into this to where it's like, well, we didn't say we were going to do that. And they were like, this is a very short, less than a page and a half. And I'm honestly exhausted. And that's why I love being able to share my story because it helps people, but I'm tired of it being targeted for someone's agenda to try to get money out of me and think that I'm an idiot because and this is literally like they're playing on my desperation for needing a platform. That's what they're doing. They're playing my emotions by saying, like, you have the story, we have the platform. And it is so hard for me sometimes, and I'm going to be very honest in this statement. It's really hard for me to be like, I want to be authentically showing up on social media to continue to share my story while I watch people who go viral for dancing, shaking their butt, being half naked, for being angry on the screen all the time, people who do horrible things and somehow still have a following. And it's like, I say one thing that people don't like and they unfollow me because, well, I can't stand with you. But then I'm like, oh, well, you're following all these other people who are horrible people. It's like, well, they just didn't give me their opinion. They just danced for me. And I'm like, I'm too old for this. But it's frustrating because it's like, I want other foster youth to know that we're not always going to be targeted. I want people to know that they can share their stories and their stories matter. And we don't have to fight so hard just to get a seat at the table or create our own table. And this has been, and I was talking to someone on Instagram because I shared like a little reel to try to like bring a little bit of awareness. And then I was like, I just need to do the podcast. And she's another person. It's Melody, and I follow her on Instagram. She's really cool. You should follow her. But she put That's Wild with a bunch of crying faces. And I said, I don't know why I feel so emotional over it. And she said, I think it hurts and sucks to think that someone wants to hear your voice only for the person to try to scam you. Maybe that's how you're feeling. And I said, it's exactly that. And I said, it makes me feel like I'm always going to have to pay to be heard. And she goes, I know, I feel you completely. My eyes are literally watering. I know you can't. I know that it can't feel good. And practice self-care tomorrow and remember that your voice matters. And it's like, I'm really tired of having to feel like I have to pay for someone to care about my story. I've been rejected so much when it comes to sharing my story that I'm like, maybe I'm not supposed to share it. And then I get messages from people who are like, please don't stop. But to sit there and over and over again be targeted by people who want me to pay. And I'm just so grateful that I have friends who are like, hey girl, like keep going, but just know no one, you do not pay anybody. But it feels like no one looks at my story and says, yeah, she's worth investing in. And it sucks. And it sucks to be, I was so excited, you guys, like, I was really excited. I really thought that this was it. And the last email came across to me as, this is your commitment to the show. That's why you have to pay. And like, we're doing you a favor. And do you know how many people have told me that in my life? Like, I'm doing you a favor for this. It's like, you're not. And it's just really disappointing because, again, to someone else who might have millions of dollars just sitting in their pocket, $7,500 doesn't feel like a lot, but to me it feels like it's $75,000. It feels like it's a lot of money because that's an investment. And to have these promises of what it could come out to be and what it may lead to, and that not to be the case. It's the same. My husband said it. It's the same. Basically what it equates to is paying for TV time is like paying for social media following. But if I just wanted to reach, 8 million people or whatever, but they said, I want to pull it up because I want to be right on the number. That's where my brain is like, no. So to reach 80 million people, if I want to reach that, I'll just keep going on social media. I want to actually be invited to the table. I want to actually be invited because my story does matter. I want to be invited and not be like, hey, the caveat is you have to pay to be here. And they were dropping names, guys. They were like, we've had so and so and so and so on the show, and they blah blah blah. And so they're building this cred, this street cred, to say here's all the things that here's the people who would believe in your story. And I shouldn't get so emotional over it. But when it comes after like so much rejection of the last 3 years between this and like, I know what you're going to say, but hear me out. When it's 3 years of consistently getting beat down, that with the people who are the traditional route have said, no, sorry, like you're not going to be able to do this because it's not good enough. I've literally been told that, like, memoirs don't sell. Nobody wants to buy it. It breaks your spirit, and then you get very few opportunities that are going to be really cool. And some of the things I can't like reveal yet, but it's not something that is guaranteed to actually help. But it's something where it's like, if I didn't have my friends in my back pocket to say, hey guys, does this sound fishy? Because I feel like it's fishy. I would have paid and figured out a way to pay this money to get on the show and probably not had very much come from it because I didn't have a physical product to put on the show. And what I do works, and that's actually why I created the Go Without an Agent community for people, because I was like, wow, we're all getting taken advantage of as speakers and authors and being told to speak for free out of the kindness of our hearts. And I wanted to help like give back to people and say like, here's what I've done that's working, and like people were doing it and it was working. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a free community that I offer. And then I'm thinking like in my head, I'm like, oh my God, if I can get this, then I can help all of them too and give back to them and bring them on board. And like, it's just frustrating. It gets you get beat down after a while. And so for now, I'm going to stick with self-publishing because it works for me. I'm going to continue sticking to reaching out and just answering emails when those things do come in to see, and not get stuck in the possibility that was what it could have been. And I'm going to just ask bluntly up front, what does this cost? And if there is a cost associated with it, it's a waste of my time. But I share this because I literally have friends who have been screwed over by people who they have paid the big dollar amount and they have gotten nothing back. And a friend of mine, she has shared on her page a lot where she did that with a book with someone who was supposed to help her with a book, and it ended up being that not just her but a whole bunch of other people got screwed over. The person took their money and run. I don't know if that's what this person's going to do with the TV stuff. Doubt it. I doubt that they'll take my money and run, but it's not going to produce what they're saying it's going to may produce. But because they're using may instead of will, they are getting away with this. And I'm a little dog. Again, I don't have money to burn. I'm not rich. And I joked with my friend, and I'm like, look, I live in this part of California. Like, I live in I have to fight for and work hard for the dollar that I make compared to other people who can just burn it. Money is valuable in my eyes. It's not just like, oh, that happened. That was a fun opportunity. I want people to stop taking advantage of people. And if that's all that you hear from this is like, be on the lookout. Don't fall for it. And also let yourself process the emotions of what that feels like. Because when we have someone who says our story matters and is valuable, and like they play into that emotion of like, oh my God, your story is going to touch millions of people, and so many people are going to want to reach out to you and follow you and get in the system and help. And in my head, it's not just like, it's not about me. It's about like, oh my God, we're going to be able to change the system, like, because we have all eyes on deck. And then that's the dream that's crushed. Is like, shoot, dude.
It's not that it's never going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's like that it's not right now again, you know? And that's frustrating for me because it's like I work really hard and like I advise people like don't get duped. And I'm like, man, I got duped. Luckily I didn't pay the money, but it's just that again, like they played into my emotions so hardcore of like it's gonna be so good when people hear your story. So it's frustrating and it makes me so mad. And honestly, like I'm glad that I'm being able to talk with you guys about this and share, because if I can help avoid at least one person from paying this, just high five, like message me and be like, oh my God, they reached out to me, dodged a bullet. But nobody talks about this. Nobody shares it. People literally, and I hate this because it's happened time and time again where someone's screwing people over and everyone just sits by and they're like, yeah, we know that person reached out to me, and nobody says anything. And then someone like, they get stuck in this and get stuck and get hurt and waste money. And I can't. And even my friends who, several of them who work in this line of work, they're like, I was like, I think I should do this. I think I should make a podcast. I think I should make an episode on this and just share, like, caution everybody. And they were like, if you're comfortable, please do, because so many people get screwed over and like people mock them. People look at them and they're like, wow, you fell for that? There was all these signs. It's like, we didn't know the red signs were on until the other side. I would have thought this was legit because I have friends who work there, and I would think that someone would have put my name in the hat and it would have been legitimate, but they wouldn't tell me who it was. And I'm just like sitting here like, and here's where it gets crazy. And this is what I think I'm getting so frustrated about is I'm like, but what if it is the 1% chance that it wasn't a scam? What if I ruin my chances by asking too many questions? What if, and it's like, I'm 99% sure that this is the way that they're doing this is not traditional, because the 5 friends who I have who work in this industry and others who have been on TV have said, no, you will not be asked to pay. Not on the Travel Network, not on Good Morning America, not on Fox News. Like, they don't work. TED Talks, same thing, you guys. It literally says on the TED Talk website, you cannot pay to be on the TED Talk. You get invited. You don't pay to be there. So these people are coming out and being like, I can get you on it. I have connections. Pay me. I'll help you get on this TED Talk. And then you don't get on it. And you're like, wow. It's like, well, I told you that it would be a maybe, not real. Like, they don't put maybe on your agreement, but they say you may be on shows like TED Talk, Good Morning America, Travel Network, CNN, ABC, all these things. But what they don't say is that they are affiliates, meaning they're a substation somewhere. So in a little tiny town, instead of ABC 7, it's ABC 47. But it's like, no, they just do articles. They don't do news station stuff. And so you do all this stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, that wasn't real. That was some dude that paid to put it on there. And it's not even the ABC's actual website. And that, through my investigation, through what my friends were showing me, their own website said that they were housing it on their own TV channel that they were launching. So it's like, okay, so none of this is going to be real. Like, there's inconsistencies between what they're actually saying and then what they're trying to allude to. Like, they even in their PDF literally had famous people in pictures with the cast, like people from the Food Network, people from, Disney. And it's like, oh, because you guys paid to get into an event. And then there was like this whole like, oh, we won all these awards. And I looked up the place that, like, the award ceremony thing, and it was like, you pay to be, like, you pay to have your TV show put on the list, and then you'll get nominated. And then you can also pay to sponsor the event and pay to have your product at the event so you can promote it. So it's all this, you pay to be in the room thing. That's normal for them. But for someone like me, you tell me I want to have you on my TV show, and my TV show is on national television. I'm like, oh my God. And then you find out that it's not really that they have they don't have a show on the network. It's that they're paying the network to be there through an ad space or something like that. And that's what I found through my research, is that you can pay for ad space, but their show is not on the network. It was on there for 4 weeks for that season. But none of the links worked. Like there was no links. Like all the other shows had links to where it was like, yes, this is one of our shows. This is our show that like we pay for. There was no link on the website. So it's okay. They're not pay, the company does not pay this group of people to go do this show. So the only other option is that they're paying for themselves to be there in the empty space that they have on a Saturday morning at 8:30 in the morning for 30 minutes. But I'm not going to pay $7,500 to get 2 minutes on air to tell my story. It's not going to come out great. So I share this again to warn anybody, but also to encourage you that it is normal to get excited about this opportunity and then to be very disappointed when you find out it's not real, and to be very disappointed when you do pay and it doesn't turn out the way that it's supposed to and what they promised, and that you found out you got duped. And you are not dumb for that. Like that is you're hopeful. You are looking for a platform. You're not trying to fast track your success, but you feel desperate to try to have someone see that your story is valuable. And I'm going to reiterate what all of my friends say that have gotten book deals. They've had literary agents, they've had TV time, they've had, all this stuff. They've been flown places for things like this. They have not paid a single dime to do it. They were paid to go. Their travel was covered. My friends did not have to pay for anything. So don't give up. We will get to tell our story in the right ways, at the right times, with the right people. And then if you ever have that feeling, that gut feeling of something's not right, message me and I'll walk through with it, and I'll be disappointed and angry with you. Not with you, but like collectively we can be angry together. But we're not going to be stooped this time. Anyway, yeah. So that sucked. I'm going to go now. Have a good day.